Please tell me I'm not the only one that occasionally thinks about waking up, being 80, the majority of my life is behind me, and having regret. Is that anyone else's biggest fear? Having regret when you turn 80, not doing what you want to do with your life? Because that's mine. It scares the bejesus out of me thinking that I could go through life not trying everything that I want to do. Because no one tells you what to do when you get out of high school, when you get out of college. No one tells you you have to keep working or you have to keep pursuing what you want. It all becomes what you do with your time. And it scares me so much thinking that I'm spending time wrong. Even in my journal when I was 25 years old or almost 25 years old, I wrote, I'm a week away from turning 25. Being a quarter of a century years old scares me. My life just keeps going and going. Luckily, I have a few things to be excited for. I have goals and ambitions that I clearly want for myself. Putting forth action makes me excited to reach them. Unfortunately, every time around this part of the year, I get sad. I don't think I'm the only one that gets sad around their birthdays. It's almost inevitable to think that as we get older, we have more time for reflection and we think, how did we spend this year? What are we going to do next year to get to where we want to be? I'm sure all of us do that to a point. So who really, really likes their birthday? Definitely not me. I'm always thinking I'm just 1 year closer to death. I have to do more. It gives me a little more pep to my step during that time of year, and I get scared. But that's why I feel like I need to do this for myself. I need to share what my vision board is that I created a couple months ago. Because if I don't put this out into the world, if I don't hold myself accountable to at least trying these things to the best of my abilities, because I might not achieve all this, and that's okay, but I need to let myself become accountable for something, just like how I would in school. Because if you're in school, right, and you have a test, you have to take that test. You can call out, you can be sick, but you're going to have to do a redo. If you're an employee and your boss tells you that you come in at 5 in the morning, you're going to show up at 5 in the morning. You hold yourself accountable for your teachers and your boss, but what about yourself? And that's what I'm going to try to do here. I'm going to try to hold myself accountable to myself. So here's my vision board. One day, I want to run a 100-mile race. I think it'd be crazy. It scares me to think about it. But 2 years ago, I was writing in my journal talking about how I was scared to run a half marathon. I'll build up. I'll get better. And a 100-mile race one day hopefully won't feel overburdened. But right now, that's one of my biggest goals. I want to be an Ironman. I've trained religiously running and biking. Swimming's a little but to cross the finish line and be called an Ironman, there's probably nothing that feels better. I want to own a dog one day. I want to always try and do my best to stay optimistic. Obviously, it's not going to be a 100%, but I think having an optimistic mindset is a much, much better quality than being a pessimist. I want to be able to call myself an Adirondack 46er. Every single high peak I've climbed up so far has been breathtaking and magical. I want to experience all of them. I want to be a homeowner. I think to live a life of just renting would bug me. I got to have my own real estate. I got to have my own wealth that I'm building up. I feel so crummy just throwing hundreds and hundreds of dollars away for rent each month. It bugs me. It annoys me. I want to focus on keeping good friends because the people in my life is what is most important to me. I want to be able to start a family and find love because let's face it, we're all pretty lonely in this day and age. And I would love to have a partner. Another thing on my vision board is, this is going to sound a little narcissistic, but hear me out, a YouTube plaque. I've tried YouTube since the dawn of time almost. 2010, I created my first channel. And I tried. I got about 5,000 subscribers. I got a paycheck. I thought I was a big money baller. And it was cool. I didn't stay consistent. I was 13 at the time. What did you want from me? I didn't know what YouTube was. I didn't know what it could be for me. I've always wanted to have a podcast for the memories that I can record with people. I am a sucker for time capsules. I don't know if anyone else had the experience of burying a time capsule when they were a kid and then unearthing it as they became a teenager or an adult. But my mom did this with me and my older brother, and it was so cool because we buried it in the year like 2000, I think. I was a tiny, tiny kid. I don't even remember burying it because I was so little. I just remember the pictures of me doing it or being there. And then when we unburied it, it was like I was talking to a whole different person. And it really was because I was like 2.5. I don't even remember. It was probably more so for my older brother, if I'm being honest. But I just remember the memory of it. And I'm just a sucker for memories like that. I love scrapbooking. I have a scrapbook of just memories. And I want to have a podcast where I talk to my friends or my brother for weeks, for a long time, because it is so cool to me. And then lastly, on my vision board, I want to write something related to running and have it be published, because running is my true passion in life. I feel so much more whole and complete now that I've found it. And I want to share that with people somehow. And getting my experience published or something related to running, I feel like is the best way. So it scares me to think maybe one day I could be 80 and I didn't try my best to achieve these goals. Because then it feels like I didn't live my life to the fullest. It feels like I'll die with more ambitions and dreams. I think a lot of people get a wake-up call when one of their family members dies. Luckily, I have a pretty small family, so I haven't experienced too much death in my family so far. There was a death when I was a little kid. It was my great-grandmother, but I was such a little kid, it didn't affect me the same way as it hit someone in their teen years or their early 20s. So I think my wake-up call, honestly, is just having my favorite podcast end and then also going through the worst breakup of my life. It showed me that not everything stays the same, and it sparked a little urgency behind me because time is passing. I've been experiencing how fast life has gone by, especially the last 2 years or so, as I've been a mailman, because a lot of times I just work late and I go to the gym and then I do the same day on repeat the next day. And it scares me how fast 2 years can go by. So I want to put these goals out into a video, and I want to just not feel alone in this. I want someone else to tell me that they are scared of the same thing, getting old and not trying everything that you want to do in life. I think a trap that we might fall into is sometimes we have a belief that everything just works out and what's meant to be is meant to be. And that brings you peace. But I'm going to argue that you also have to actively work towards what you want. Especially in my case with some of my goals. No one will run my miles for me or save money for a home that I want to buy or train on the bike the way I need to train on a bike. I have to do all that stuff. You have to make your dreams and your bucket lists a reality. A teacher's not going to swoop down and gift you a house. It doesn't happen. When you become an adult, your time gets so unstructured, it's overwhelming, and you don't know what to do. And I'm right there in that boat with you guys. And I'm scared I'm wasting my life. I'm scared I'm not doing the right thing. So I'm searching frantically for whatever gives me some sort of passion, some sort of spark, and I'm running with it.